welcome to today's video. We're doing a little reading vlog on some popular releases that came out in April. I don't know why I'm so excited to film this reading vlog. They're all romances. They're all, I think, like summer, spring vibes, so we're really fitting the theme here. First book I have is Wild Love by Elsie Silver. We're following our main character Ford, who is a music producer. Or recording artist. Same thing, kind of. No, not really. He's a billionaire. He is from this small town called Rose Hill. And then I'll read Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. This one is about a Reddit thread where these two characters, every time they date someone, they break up and then that other person goes on to find their soulmate. They kind of think that they have this curse. One of them posts on Reddit about their curse. The other person finds it, DMs them and says, hey, I have the same problem. Why don't we date? And then they try to break their curse. So they break up and think that they're going to find their soulmates after. Lastly, I'll be reading Funny Story by Emily Henry. We have our main character, Daphne. She was engaged to this dude named Peter. And he is in love with his childhood best friend. Peter and Daphne break up. Daphne gets this new roommate, and her new roommate is this dude who was dating the girl that Peter is not with. So they all have this crazy sort of connection that they shouldn't have with each other. We'll get to Wild Love first, then Just for the Summer, and then Funny Story. I keep wanting to call it Happy Place. I called it Beach Read earlier. I don't know. I'm all over the place. I have high hopes for these. I really do. I'm very excited for the summer vibes. I don't know if these two books take place in the summer. I'm just gonna pretend like they do if they don't. Let's start Wild Love. Page 183, chapter 19, so not quite halfway through yet. I'm not getting too much of a plot in this one at all. I think it's very character driven. We start out, our two main characters are going through their issues, I guess, or their main struggle right now in their life, which is on the back of the book, so it's not a spoiler if I say it. So we have Ford, who is dealing with this 12-year-old girl that shows up and says that he is her father, and then Rosie just lost her job, so that's why she's back in this small town. So that is happening. We are getting that information, but we're not really shown the process of those situations, and I would have liked to, because I think when our characters are going through something like that or a hard point in their life, it's really nice to experience that with them, because we get those connections with them and we see what they're feeling, and it helps us get to know them more, especially since it's happening right away. But we're not really shown the process. It's kind of just told. My other main thought is just that Cora in here is a 12-year-old girl. I can't come to terms with the fact that she's only 12, because she's literally acting like an adult, or she's talking like an adult. Like, her dialogue is written very, very mature, which, yes, young people can be mature and say adult-like things, but it's hard to picture her any less than 16. At least. I do really like her. She's reminding me a lot of Waylay from Things We Never Got Over, and I loved Waylay in that book. I feel like I'm in the middle right now. I don't truly love it yet, but I am enjoying it a lot. I'm excited to see where their romance goes. I'm excited to see how Rosie is dealing with the situation that she is dealing with somebody else. Boy, do I have some things to say. When did I last talk to this vlog? I think, what day is it? It's Tuesday. I finished Wild Love on Sunday. I didn't hate this. I really didn't. I enjoyed my time reading it. I had a lot of fun. I just didn't connect with it at all. I have quite a bit of points that I was making in my notes throughout reading this that I do want to touch on. I'm not going to spoil anything though, so it's going to be kind of maybe a little vague. Rosie's back in this small town, but we never got Rosie going back and like moving her stuff into where she is now living, and it just felt weird. We did get closure on that part of her life, but I just think it was weird that she never went back and like closed that chapter there. I kind of briefly already mentioned these things, but I just feel like we were getting so many different scenes that were super short and then they were just thrown in there. I would have liked it a lot better if we were getting a less amount of scenes and they were elaborated on more and they were more drawn out, because it would have connected the story together. Since there were so many different things happening, I think it just took away from a storyline. If the vibes are good enough, I think I can get away without there being a true plot, but this one I was not vibing. And I hate saying this because I love Elsie Silver and I truly do enjoy her books. Like, I don't hate any of them. I really don't. I love her characters. The characters really do it for me. I just didn't feel that connection with this book at all. I just feel like these big moments were happening and we weren't getting a lot on them, and then they were maybe brought up in conversation later to kind of describe what had happened, but we weren't being shown, and I really wanted that because that would have formed an even stronger connection with the characters and the story itself. They were the big moments, and they weren't made out to be that way. We have Ford with his record label now, and he's talking about building that up and signing artists and everything. We never even got that process, which would have been nice because that's what he does, but it never happened. We just got like the beginning of it, and that was it. We know the storyline of romance books. The characters always end up together. We are just going through that timeline of how it happens and experiencing that with them. But it's also still a book, and I still need a storyline. I just didn't feel that with this book at all. And I am not one that can deal with a stupid third act conflict. And there was such a bad one in this one. It literally just, I hated it so much. It was awful. And at that point, I didn't really like Ford either. I think it was getting to a point where he wasn't ever going to like really focus on himself, and he was just gonna do whatever Rosie wanted and what was best for her. Yes, that's sweet, but in reality, you as an individual need to still stay true to yourself. You know, you shouldn't completely change everything just for somebody else. And I think that Rosie was just a little too accepting of that. There wasn't anything really going on with Ford that he was completely changing, but just the way that he was talking about things made it seem like if that situation were to occur, he would have just completely jumped on losing himself in order to make Rosie happy. And some people may like that, but for me personally, in relationships, I just don't think that it's fair for one of the characters. I think you guys need to, you know, come to an agreement point and just support each other and allow each person of the relationship to grow themselves and not just completely focus on one person's needs. I'm getting way off topic with this book because I honestly like wasn't really in there, but I just feel like Ford would be that type of person. I don't want to spend too much time acting like I'm hating on this because I'm not. I did like this. I did enjoy this. I think I'm gonna give it a 3. I'm debating between a 2.7 and 5 and a 3, but I think I'm gonna give it a 3. It just feels right. So I finished Wild Love Sunday. Today's Tuesday. Yesterday was Monday. Yay, that's how the weeks work. Glad you could come with me on that lesson. So I started Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez yesterday, and I did not want to put this book down. I'm on page 185, and I hate that I needed sleep because I really wanted to stay up and read this book. Reading this one after reading Wild Love and being disappointed in the flow of that story, this one is working so well for me. I was immediately laughing from the first page. I think our characters are funny. I love the relationships between our characters in this one, and I felt that way with the other Abby Jimenez books that I've read. I've read Part of Your World and Yours Truly. I already know that this one is probably going to be my favorite. I'm just hoping that there's no crazy third act conflict in this book either, because the other two books that I've read by her, the third act conflict just made me hate it. Not hate it. I didn't hate it. I rated them like 4 stars, but it just really frustrated me a lot. Yes, there needs to be a conflict in a story. That's how a book works. When the characters are being so insufferable, I'm like, please just stop. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen in this book. I have kind of heard that there is one though, so I'm a little scared. Loving it so far already that hopefully I can get past whatever is about to happen. I don't know, I just really like this one. I like the concept of it. I think it's pretty unique compared to what I've read before. It is very insta-lovey, which I don't normally like. I'm not complaining about it with this. I think that it works very well for our characters. Of course, I would always love the romance to be drawn out and I would like there to be more tension, but I think that the characters' personalities in this one just fit with kind of an insta-love thing, so I'm not hating that at all. There is a certain situation that our main character is dealing with, our female main character. I'm hoping her mindset changes on this certain situation. She's dealing with a certain person in her past or her life currently. I have a different opinion on the situation than our main character does, and she has a best friend that has the same opinion that I do. So I'm curious to see where that's gonna go. I'm curious to see how this other person that we're dealing with changes, maybe, if they change for the better, if they get worse, and I really want to know how our female main character is going to deal with that. I'm gonna shut up and I'm gonna go continue on with this. I cannot believe that I wasn't gonna pick this book up. When this book was announced and I knew that it was coming out, I had no intention of reading it at all, and everybody's 5-star ratings changed that for me, so I'm so glad that I was paying attention to what other people were rating it and saying about it. But I'm like, oh my god, I almost did not pick this book up, and I wasn't gonna read it. Thanks for listening to my rant. I feel like that was a little intense, but I have feelings. This is why I do this. I have feelings, I gotta talk about them. I can't get over how much I'm liking their relationship and their romance. They're so cute. I also am loving her best friend more and more as the story goes on. I definitely think that she's a character who a lot of people may dislike because she is that side character who puts our main character in place. Anything that our main character is kind of dealing with or her thought processes, we have our best friend Maddie who's coming in basically telling her how things need to be. And I really like that because she's not doing it in a way that seems wrong, or she's not saying things that I feel like she shouldn't be saying. She's being very honest, and I feel like when you have a person like that, it can be hard to like them because they're disagreeing with our main character and the head that we're in right now, or the point of view that we're in. If somebody doesn't like Maddie as a character, I can completely understand that, but for me personally, I really love her because you always need that person who will give you the other side of an argument in a way. Everything Maddie is saying does make sense, and it is easy to see both sides of whatever these characters are going through. I really enjoyed that. I found myself agreeing with both of them, and it's very interesting. I just like how these characters are able to communicate with each other and they're able to get through the things that they're going through, and whenever there's a little argument that pops up, they can both understand the other person's thoughts, and that's how it needs to be. That's all I want to say right now. I'm gonna keep reading. I really just want to sit here and finish this book because I'm really enjoying it. This book, I just laughed out loud, which rarely happens to me when I read a book, and the sentence I just read it's so unhinged. Oh my god. I'm having a good time. I'm just gonna recommend this book already, even though I haven't finished it yet. It's fun. And I really like it. This book has me going from laughing out loud to crying. Like that. There's so many sad parts in this book, but then there's also so many happy and fun parts. And it has such a fantastic mix of romance and story, but also good and bad. It's just so good. It's so good. Is this even recording yet, you guys? We got the cameo from the other books, and I just realized, oh my god. If you have not read these books, read all 3 so you can understand what I'm going through right now. I didn't remember really anything about the other books, so this is just like, they're so cute. I literally can't. Oh, I love them. I'm like crying and smiling at the same time. I don't know what's going on with my emotions. I may start bawling. I feel a lot of connections with Emma and how she feels and how her brain works and how she feels around other people. Me and her are connecting. We really are, especially right now with what she's saying. She said, I think something's wrong with me, like there's something in me in my heart that doesn't work right. Then she said, it's like there's a part of me that's always small and I don't know why, or I don't know what to do about it. I started crying again and couldn't hold it back. I felt full of cracks all of a sudden, deep, long, jagged cracks, and they'd always been there. I just learned to live with them so long I no longer noticed them. I'd hopped over them and built little bridges and taken other routes, but I never filled them. I never fixed them. I didn't even know how. And honestly, same. I'm loving the writing in this so much too. We're getting a lot of good advice from our characters. There's just a lot of good quotes in here. They're just such great people, and you're getting that life advice from the writing itself and from what they're saying to other characters, and it's hitting. It's hitting right here, and I love it. I have 100 pages left, and I don't want it to end. Well, that was a roller coaster. I finished. I'm done. I cannot tell you when the last time a book has made me feel this many emotions. I feel like I gave pretty much most of my thoughts as I was filming this and reading it, so all I really have left to say is that I loved it. I really did, but I don't know what it is about the endings of her books that just make me so mad. Her characters just do a complete 180 and I just get like, I don't understand it. I don't understand any of the endings of her books because they're so frustrating. I had strong 5-star feelings the whole entire time, but as soon as it got to that, I lost everything. I'm trying to ignore it. I'm trying to go back to that 5-star feeling, but I can't because I didn't want it to happen. It happened, and even though it was barely there, I'm still upset. I can't say that it was perfect, but it was nearly there. It's a 4.75. If you have not read this yet, please do read the other 2 books before this one, though. I highly recommend that because they all have their little connections and it's very fun to read about. I also wonder if I had read Part of Your World and Yours Truly a little closer to this one, if I would have picked up on everything. I picked up on nothing because I read them quite a while ago and I forgot everything, but that was just a fun little addition. So many emotions back and forth. They really felt real. I just felt so connected to the characters in the story. It just felt so genuine. All good things. So that is just for the summer. Second book is completed. Now we're moving on to our last book, which is Funny Story. hi. It's actually kind of hot in here. Let me open my window. I can't remember if I talked about Funny Story yet. I don't think I have. It's been a while since I started this. I've been reading it super slow. There were a few days where I didn't read at all because I was pretty busy. So I need to talk about it. I'm a little over halfway through now. I'm on page 220. I think there's like almost 400 pages. But I don't think I wanted to update because I didn't have any strong feelings at the beginning. But now I do. I am feeling more for this book, so I do want to talk about it now. Going into this, I really liked the concept. I thought it was going to be an entertaining read with the concept of our main characters' exes getting together and then they are now together themselves. It's complicated because I like how good and fun of a story that makes, but it's also, in the terms of a romance, I don't think it's the best idea just because it is a little insane. But I mean, it's working. So that's why I'm like, okay, you know, this is fine. I think the only thing though is that the fact that they are roommates now. And I think that made it all seem kind of sudden and a little thrown in there. It wasn't necessarily an insta-love thing, but I think it was just two people in technically a forced proximity type situation where it almost felt a little sudden or forced, or just that they're growing a connection because of their closeness with each other. Other than that, just like I was saying for Just for the Summer, I really like the balance between the romance and the actual like storyline of this book. I think that if you are going into this to read it as a romance, you would enjoy it, but also if you're going into it just reading it as a contemporary fiction novel, you would also enjoy it. Even though it is marketed as a romance, I just think it's done well in both ways. And that's what I found with A Happy Place. When I read that, I think that that was a good like contemporary fiction novel along with a romance. I am really starting to like Emily Henry's books. In the past, I wasn't really too fond of them. With Happy Place and Funny Story, I am really appreciating her writing and how she just goes about everything. So up until a little before the halfway point, I wasn't really feeling any chemistry with these characters, but then they shared their first moment together like intimately, and I think that that really grew their connection, and that's kind of where I saw it click. And then there was another scene that I just read yesterday, I think it was, and that was a more intimate scene than we had the first time. Not even like physically but emotionally, and I think that that really put them up there for me. I do like these characters individually a lot, but I just wasn't seeing their connection together for quite a while. It is quite a slow burn, which obviously I love that, so it's weird that I'm saying that it felt sudden, but I think that just their initial connection felt too soon compared to what I'm feeling now. Does that make sense? I don't even think that makes sense. But yeah, I really like these characters individually, and now that they are kind of connecting even more, I'm liking them together now, which is good because it is a romance, so that's what I wanted. They are sharing so many moments with each other that they're opening up, and they're not very open people, so the fact that they are comfortable enough around each other to start opening up is really important, and I really like that because I feel the same way. I'm not an open book, and it's really hard for me to open up to people. Just reading about these characters having that comfortability with someone is really nice, and just knowing that they kind of found somebody that they trust is so good, and I really love that. The moment that I was talking about earlier, like the second intimate moment, is chapter 19. It's so good. It's the best chapter so far. If you have read this, go back to chapter 19 and let me know how you thought about that chapter. If you have not read this, just keep an eye out for chapter 19. I think it's beautifully written, and I think it really formed their connection with each other, and I have a lot of appreciation for that chapter. I also want to say that in romance novels, I'm not somebody who likes a ton of spicy scenes. If there's a couple in there, that's fine, but if there's too much, I'm just like, I don't understand the point of this anymore. Like, I just don't care. But this one is balancing it really well. There's not really anything yet, but we have like small moments, and I know that a lot of people say that when you get a romance book that have those scenes in there and they give to the story, that's what makes them important, and that's why they need to be written in there, and I truly agree with that. This is the book that has made me agree with that the most. Like I said, it just made me like these two characters even more, and it made me like them together. So I think that those scenes are really important. Obviously it's not like full on spicy and you're not getting everything yet. When we get to a scene like that, if that is in here, then it's gonna be the same way. I think it's gonna give a lot to the story. I'm really enjoying that, and this is the first time where I've actually read a book where I am like, okay, these scenes are really important to the story itself and the development of these characters. Much appreciation for where this book is going. I cannot say what I want to happen in the end because it will spoil it. If I give my reaction to that moment, it will spoil it, so I don't want to say what I'm hoping for, but I do want something to happen with two characters, and if it happens in the end, I will let you know, but I cannot say anything on it. That's my update on Funny Story. I'm probably going to finish this today. I have about like 160 some pages left, I believe. I'm happy it picked up for me. Not that I was not liking it in the beginning, I just didn't feel anything for the characters, but the story itself, like the whole plot line, made for a good read too, even if we like weren't getting a huge romantic connection yet. say, this is making me jealous because I live in Michigan. This is set in Michigan, but it's set on the west side of Michigan on Lake Michigan. How many times can I say Michigan? I love it over there so much. It's literally my favorite place, and I'm so jealous because I want to be there so bad. They're doing like so many activities that just give Michigan. I literally know what they're talking about. I know where they are. Now they're on the boat and they're like in the dunes, and I've done this before, and I just want to be back doing it. And anyway, I love the setting of this book, and it's just nice to completely picture what they're doing right now because I know. One more thing, as we know, my like for Miles and Daphne's relationship is growing, and it's growing even more. They're such a good team. They really are. Even though they're not a thing yet, they just work so well together, and just like the things they say and how they can just understand each other without really saying anything. They just work so well, and I love it. I'm just having so much fun right now. I'm excited to see where this goes because I know like what is in store for Daphne and what decisions she has to make, and I can't wait to figure out what she does and how this works out. But I also don't want to get there because I don't want it to end. Right now we're at a point, these people showed up. I don't want to say who, but it was very random. I don't really know the point of this yet, but I just feel like there's been a whole bunch of people showing up in this book that shouldn't be there, and these characters are stronger than me because I'd be like, you gotta go. So unfortunately this book has me in my feels now, and I'm relating to the main character a little more than I would like to. She doesn't know where she wants to be. She doesn't really know where she belongs. She doesn't know who her friends are, or who her friends are because of her and not who she was with. Like when her and Peter were together, they had this friend group that she was obviously friends with too, but after her and Peter broke up, she didn't keep anyone as friends. She just doesn't know who she has, and I think she just lost a lot of herself because of that. I just noticed something, and I was rushing to get my camera. At the beginning of the chapters, it says like the date and then how many days until a certain thing, and I just now noticed that somewhere in one of the chapters it changed. Let me figure this out because I don't know when it happened. I don't know how I didn't notice. I didn't even notice that one, and that was after chapter 19. Shut up. Why did I just not notice that? It's literally been happening for like the past 60 pages. If you know, you know. I have 80 pages left, and I'm sad. It happened. The thing that I wanted to happen happened, and it better stay this way. It better stay like this. That's how you do it. I'm afraid to turn the page because I'm afraid that it's gonna not be true, but the last sentence is what I wanted. Literally no way. Dude. Whew. Why did that ending hit me so much? Oh my god. Okay. I can't even talk right now. Emily Henry. I literally can't speak yet. Emily Henry definitely knows how to write that book that you just need sometimes. Whew. I need a minute. I think I'm calmed down a little bit. Holy crap. I don't usually ever get affected by endings, but this one, holy moly. The last two lines of this book were so perfect. This was so good, and I think that if you are at a point in your life where you don't really know what you want for your future, you feel stuck, you literally just have no idea what to do, this book will do it for you. It really will. There's such a strong backstory besides the romance, and it really meant a lot to me, and it was so good. Holy crap. I was gonna give this a 4 like the whole way through, but the ending and thinking back the message of the book, just how I connected to this and how I related to it, it's definitely going up. It wasn't perfect, but I really love it. So I think I'm gonna give this a 4.5. I don't want to give it a 4.25. I feel like that's too low, but I don't think it's anything really more than a 4.5. Just because there were slow times at the beginning where I couldn't really connect. I still enjoyed my time the whole way through, but I just didn't have that feeling that I had at the end the whole way through. The ending really did it for me. Third act whole conflict thing was a little bit of miscommunication, which I don't like. Obviously it gets resolved, but during those times it's always really frustrating to read because I don't feel like there's any sort of means for miscommunication, especially with how our characters were before. They know that they can tell each other anything, but they just wouldn't. So that was something that I didn't really like. 4.5 for this one. I still just want to burst into tears right now. I will be honest. I will just do a little bit of a recap since I've sat on these books for a while now. Wild Love by Elsie Silver, read a while ago. I just felt like this one kind of skipped around a lot. There wasn't a true plot or a true storyline, and I'm not a fan of that in books anymore. I think if I can really connect to the characters, I can ignore that. But this one, it was okay. I enjoyed it. I wasn't in love with it. I loved the characters in this book and the side characters, but there just wasn't enough for me story-wise or really romance connection-wise in order for me to truly love it. So I'm gonna give this one a 3 stars. I don't know if I set a different rating in the beginning or when I was talking about this. Then we had Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. This book was great. Every book that I've read by Abby Jimenez, which I've read the 3 books now in this little standalone or interconnected series, I just can't get over like the endings. I feel like the ending in this one happened so fast. Things just got wrapped up really quickly and I wanted to spend more time with the ending, and I feel like I felt that way with her other books too. That was pretty much the only thing that I had an issue with in this book. You guys saw that I really liked this while I was reading it. Love the characters. I love that this one also had kind of like that other storyline where it went deeper with emotions and a deeper story. So I really enjoyed this. Had a super fun time. Sticking with the 4.75 stars for this one. I will rate it a 5 on Goodreads to round it up. I think it really deserves a 5-star, but I just had those super minor issues with it that I'm personally going to give it a 4.75. 4.5. I think right now, since this is the book that I literally just finished, I haven't had time to sit with it. In the moment, I feel like I would probably give it a 4.75, but I know that after I sit with it for a little bit, or at least even a couple hours, I'm gonna go back down in my rating. Those are my April releases that I was anticipating. Well, wasn't expecting to get Just for the Summer, but I'm glad I did. I'm really happy that I read that book. I had good vibes the whole time. But that's it. Thank you so much for watching this. I had a fun time filming this and reading all these books. I will see you guys in my next video, whatever that may be. Thank you for watching. Thanks for sticking around. If you want to stick around even more, see all my other videos, feel free to subscribe. I will see you guys later. Bye.